Have you ever looked back at your childhood and wondered why your journey felt different? Why did you face challenges that others seemed to escape? Why did you feel out of place, as if you were carrying a weight no one else could see? Maybe you've grown into a responsible adult, yet there are still lingering questions in your heart. Why did I struggle so much as a child? Was all that hardship just random? Today, I want to help you see something powerful, something that could change the way you view your past. Your experiences weren't coincidences. Those early struggles, sensitivities, and challenges may have been signs that God was shaping you for a purpose even before you knew what purpose meant. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This means God had a plan for you before you took your first breath. Your childhood was not random. The gifts you had, the hardships you endured, and the things that made you different, they were clues. Clues that God was already preparing you for something greater. As we go through these 5 signs, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect. If something resonates with your journey, leave a comment, share a Bible verse or a short affirmation like, "God chose me," or "The Lord is my guide." You never know, your words may help someone else recognize their own story in a new light. Now let's dive in. Sign number 1, you faced more obstacles in childhood than others. From the very beginning, life felt like an uphill battle. While other children seemed to navigate childhood with ease, you found yourself carrying burdens that no child should have to bear. Maybe your home was far from peaceful. Arguments, instability, or financial struggles made even the simplest things feel difficult. Perhaps you had to grow up too fast, stepping into responsibilities that other kids didn't even think about. While they were worried about what toy to play with next, you were figuring out how to stretch a few groceries to last the week. At school, things weren't much easier. Maybe you struggled with learning difficulties, constantly switched schools, or had to push through language barriers while others breezed through their lessons. It felt like the world was testing you from the start, as if you had been given a heavier load than everyone else. But here's what you need to understand. God knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't punishing you, he was preparing you. Romans 5:3-4 tells us, "Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope." This means that every challenge you faced as a child was not in vain. God was using those early struggles to build something inside of you: resilience, strength, wisdom, and endurance. You weren't just enduring hard times, you were being trained. Think of a soldier preparing for battle. They don't start on the front lines immediately. They go through grueling training, pushed beyond their limits, so that when the real fight comes, they are ready. That was you. Your childhood wasn't easy because you were being strengthened for something greater. While others might break under pressure later in life, you've already been through the fire. You know how to endure, how to adapt, and how to keep going when things get tough. And here's the most powerful part. God doesn't waste pain. Every hardship, every tear, every lonely night you endured was shaping you into someone he could trust with greater responsibilities. He saw your future long before you did, and he knew you would need a heart that could withstand storms. He was molding you into a warrior, someone who wouldn't give up at the first sign of trouble. Sign number 2, you had prophetic or meaningful dreams. Think back to your childhood. Did you ever have dreams that felt strangely real, almost like messages trying to reach you? Maybe they weren't just ordinary dreams, but ones that left a lasting impression, making you wake up feeling different, as if you had seen or understood something beyond your years. Perhaps as a child, you dreamt of events before they happened, or you had visions that didn't make sense at the time, but later proved significant. You may have even felt that God was speaking to you, though you didn't know how to interpret it. But when you tried to share these dreams with others, parents, siblings, or friends, They didn't seem to understand. Maybe they shrugged it off, laughed, or told you it was just your imagination. Over time, you may have learned to keep those experiences to yourself, pushing them deep down to avoid feeling different. As you grew older, perhaps you even tried to silence that part of yourself because it felt too strange, too overwhelming. But here's something you need to know. Those dreams weren't random. They could have been signs of a spiritual sensitivity that God placed in you from an early age. Throughout the Bible, God has spoken to his people through dreams. One of the clearest examples is Joseph in the book of Genesis. As a young man, he had dreams that seemed confusing at first. Visions of his family bowing before him, dreams that made no sense at the time. Yet years later, those very dreams became the key to saving an entire nation. God was speaking to Joseph before he even understood his purpose. The same could be true for you if you've had significant dreams, especially ones that felt deeper than ordinary imagination. Perhaps God was training you early on to be receptive to his voice. He may have been developing a gift of discernment within you, preparing you to understand truths that others overlook. Maybe your sensitivity to dreams wasn't a burden. It was a clue that God wanted to use you in a special way. Even if you push those experiences aside, God hasn't forgotten. He may still be calling you to pay attention, to listen more closely, and to seek wisdom in the visions he places in your heart. Maybe he wants to use this gift to help others, to encourage, to warn, or to bring clarity in times of confusion. Sign number 3. Animals and children in pain were drawn to you. Have you ever noticed that hurting people or even animals seemed naturally drawn to you? Maybe as a child, you had a way of calming a frightened stray dog that everyone else avoided. Perhaps anxious or troubled children found comfort in your presence, even if you didn't say much. Maybe there was a classmate who always seemed withdrawn, or a younger child who clung to you when they felt scared. You didn't understand why at the time, but for some reason they felt safe around you. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a sign, a reflection of the heart that God placed inside you. Many people walk through life unaware of the pain in others, but not you. Even as a child, you carried a sense of compassion, an ability to notice suffering where others turned away. And more than that, you had a presence that brought peace. It wasn't something you forced or even fully understood. It was simply who you were. Jesus told his followers in Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine before others." That light isn't just about preaching or doing good deeds. It's also about the presence of God working through you. Some people shine so brightly with God's love and peace that even animals and children who have no words to express it can sense it. If troubled kids, nervous animals, or hurting people felt at ease with you, it's because your light was already shining even before you realized it. God often plants this kind of compassion in those he is calling to bring healing to others. Maybe you weren't meant to be just another bystander in life. Maybe you were meant to be someone who steps into the chaos and brings peace. The world is full of brokenness, loneliness, and fear, but people with God's love inside them have the power to change atmospheres. You may have been experiencing this gift all along. Perhaps this explains why you felt things deeply as a child, why you couldn't just walk past a hurt animal without wanting to help, why it affected you when a friend was sad, even if no one else seemed to notice. God was shaping you into a person who could carry his love into broken places. He was molding you into someone who could bring comfort simply by being present. Sign number 4. You were highly sensitive to truth and hurt by dishonesty. As a child, did dishonesty bother you more than it seemed to bother others? Maybe you weren't just uncomfortable with lies, you were deeply affected by them. Even small acts of deception, like a parent telling a harmless lie to a neighbor or a friend, exaggerating a story to get attention, felt unsettling. While others shrugged it off as normal or unimportant, something inside you couldn't ignore it. It was as if you had an internal alarm that went off every time you witnessed someone being fake, dishonest, or manipulative. And the worst part? No one else seemed to notice or care as much as you did. This wasn't just a personality trait or an overreaction. It was a sign that God wired you differently. From an early age, He placed within you a deep longing for truth, integrity, and sincerity. While the world often treats dishonesty as an acceptable part of life, you couldn't make peace with it because you were never meant to. The Bible says in Psalm 51 verse 6, "Surely you desire truth in the inner parts. You teach me wisdom in the inmost place." This means that God values truth, not just in words, but in the very core of who we are. If you had an intense sensitivity to falsehood, it's because God created you to stand for truth in a world that often distorts it. Maybe this sensitivity made childhood difficult. Perhaps you saw adults bending the truth, making promises they never intended to keep, or pretending to be something they weren't. It hurt, not just because you didn't like dishonesty, but because it felt like a betrayal of something sacred, something that was supposed to be right and good. You may have even felt isolated because of it, wondering why no one else seemed as affected as you were. But what if that was part of God's preparation? Throughout Scripture, we see that God calls certain people to carry His truth boldly. Think of Jeremiah, the prophet who wept over the dishonesty and corruption he saw around him. Or John the Baptist, who spoke out against falsehood even when it cost him everything. These were people whom God set apart to confront deception, uphold righteousness, and lead others toward His truth. If dishonesty deeply unsettled you as a child, it could be because God was shaping you for a similar calling, to be someone who upholds integrity even when it's not popular or easy. As you grew older, you might have tried to silence this part of yourself. Maybe people told you that you were too sensitive or that you needed to let things go. And perhaps, after years of feeling like an outsider because of your convictions, you started to ignore that voice inside you. The voice that once stirred with frustration at falsehood. But here's the thing, God doesn't place convictions in your heart just for you to bury them. He put them there for a purpose. The world needs people who will not turn a blind eye to deception. It needs people who will speak truth with love, who will live with integrity, and who will refuse to compromise when it matters most. That's why God shaped you this way. Not to make your life difficult, but to equip you to be a light in the darkness. So what now? What do you do with this realization? The first step is to embrace it. Instead of seeing your sensitivity to truth as a burden, see it as a gift. Recognize that God has entrusted you with a deep understanding of right and wrong for a reason. The second step is to ask God how He wants you to use it. Maybe you're called to speak up when others stay silent, to lead with integrity in your workplace, or to be a source of wisdom and honesty in your community. Whatever it is, don't run from it. Lean into it. Sign number 5. People trusted you and everything you touched got better. Even as a child, were you the one people naturally relied on? Maybe family members, teachers, or friends would turn to you when they needed help, not just for advice, but because they knew you would get things done. Perhaps you were the responsible one, the problem solver, the person who always seemed to step up when things needed fixing. Even in situations where others hesitated, you had a quiet sense of determination that made people believe in you. At home, you might have taken on responsibilities beyond your years. While other kids were playing without a care, you were making sure things ran smoothly, helping your siblings, managing household tasks, or handling problems that weren't yours to bear. At school, teachers may have entrusted you with extra duties because they knew you wouldn't let them down. Maybe friends counted on you during tough times. seeking your advice, or simply leaning on your steady presence. It's easy to dismiss these traits as just being mature for your age or having a strong work ethic. But what if there was something deeper at work? What if this wasn't just your personality, but a sign that God was shaping you for something greater? Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." God often starts by giving his chosen ones small responsibilities before entrusting them with greater ones. The fact that people naturally relied on you, even as a child, could be evidence that God was preparing you for leadership, stewardship, and influence. Think of the story of David in the Bible. Before he became king, he was just a shepherd boy, faithfully tending his flock. It may have seemed like an ordinary, thankless task, but in reality, God was training him to lead. David learned responsibility, courage, and perseverance in the fields before he ever stepped onto a battlefield. In the same way, the things you were trusted with as a child weren't just chores or small tasks. They were shaping you for something greater. Maybe you didn't realize it at the time, but your ability to handle responsibility, stay calm under pressure, and bring solutions instead of complaints was a sign of God's hand on your life. He was molding you into someone he could trust with more. The world needs people like you, people who don't crumble when challenges arise, people who take ownership instead of running away, people who make things better just by being there. Everything in your past, the struggles, the dreams, the burdens, and the gifts were shaping you for something greater. You were never ordinary. God was writing a story with your life from the very beginning. Every challenge you overcame, every moment you felt different, every gift you didn't quite understand, it was all part of His divine plan to prepare you for something meaningful. Now, the question is, will you step into the purpose He's been preparing you for? Will you embrace the calling He placed on your life and trust that every piece of your journey was intentional? If you're ready, comment below, "I trust you, Lord." Let's declare together that we believe in God's plan, even when we don't see the full picture yet. And before you go, thank you for spending this time with us today. If this message spoke to you, if you found clarity or encouragement, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an opportunity to grow in faith. We are building a community of people who are seeking God's purpose for their lives, and I would love for you to be part of this journey. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know how God might use this message to touch another heart. Let's step forward into God's plan together. Have you ever felt mocked, dismissed, or rejected by those around you? Perhaps you've experienced loneliness that makes you question whether true love is even meant for you. In the darkest moments, people may laugh at your dreams, call you foolish, and make you feel like you're unworthy of love. But let me tell you this, God has been watching over every tear you shed, every insult, every hardship. The world may not see it yet, but your true love, divinely orchestrated and God-approved, is coming. This isn't just a simple love story. It is the culmination of a higher divine plan, a love story that was written before time began. Now I invite you to take a step toward embracing your divine love story. Hit that subscribe button and comment 777 below to join me on this journey of faith, healing, and transformation. Let's walk together and discover the love God has prepared for you. Your journey has been long and challenging, marked by pain, rejection, and moments of deep sorrow. There were times when you felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on you, and those around you believed they could break you. They couldn't see the truth, that in the hands of the Creator, even brokenness becomes something beautiful. Every wound, every tear, every moment of despair wasn't a mark of weakness, but a sign of divine preparation. You were being shaped, refined, and strengthened for a love that was beyond anything you could imagine. God doesn't waste a single moment. Every heartache you endured, every lonely night you spent wondering when it would end, and every time doubt crept into your heart, all of it was leading you to this point. While you may have felt abandoned or overlooked, those feelings were not a reflection of your worth. They were part of a higher plan, a divine setup. God was setting you apart, preparing you for something far greater than you could have anticipated. The moments when you questioned your place in the world, when you felt invisible or unimportant, those were the moments when God was actively working behind the scenes, orchestrating a plan that would leave you in awe. The rejection you faced along the way was never a reflection of who you are or your value. It was never a sign that you were unworthy or unlovable. No, it was God's redirection. He was clearing the path, removing the people and situations that were not part of His plan for you. Each no you received, each door that was slammed in your face, was actually a blessing in disguise. God was redirecting your life towards something far better, something that you may not have been able to see at the time. He was removing obstacles and aligning the stars in your favor. The path was never meant to be easy because you were being prepared for something extraordinary. While others may have dismissed you or failed to see your worth, God was preparing a love that would see you in ways no one else ever could. He was aligning you with the perfect partner, someone who would appreciate the depth of your soul, someone who would cherish you for who you truly are. Every painful experience, every lonely moment was a part of the grand design. You were being shaped for a love that was destined to be extraordinary. You may have wondered why the journey had to be so difficult, why the waiting seemed endless, or why you faced so many challenges. But know this, God's plan was never meant to harm you. It was meant to refine you, to strengthen you, and to prepare you for a love so pure, so divinely appointed, that nothing could stand in its way. Your heartache wasn't wasted. It was necessary for the transformation you needed to undergo. The struggle you experienced was all part of the divine process, and now, as you stand at the threshold of something beautiful, you will begin to understand why it all had to happen. God was always with you, shaping you for a love that would make everything worth it. It's a love that will leave you speechless, one that will make everything you've gone through make sense. The universe has been aligning everything in your favor, and the love you've been waiting for is about to manifest in ways you never thought possible. Your journey wasn't in vain. It was leading you exactly where you needed to be, toward a love that was always meant for you. Imagine for a moment, you've been through the fire, tested by the harshest trials, and yet here you are, standing strong, unbroken. The fire that once seemed like it would consume you didn't destroy you. It refined you. Every challenge you faced, every painful experience was not meant to pull you under. It was meant to shape you, to forge you into a version of yourself that is capable of receiving a love so profound, so pure, that it surpasses everything you have ever known or imagined. The love that is coming into your life isn't ordinary. It's not the kind of love that burns bright for a moment and then fades. No, this love has been carefully chosen for you by the divine, hand-picked by God Himself, and sealed with His approval. This isn't just any connection between two people, it's a divine partnership, one that carries heaven's stamp of approval. This love was written into your story long before you ever knew it was coming. It is a love that transcends the superficialities of this world and reaches far beyond what you have ever hoped for or expected. This love isn't driven by fleeting attraction or external appearances. It is rooted in something far deeper, something eternal. It's a love that will stand the test of time because it's built on a foundation of purpose. This love has a divine calling, one that will draw you and your partner closer to your higher purpose, a connection that will align your souls with God's plan. It elevates your spirit, drawing you closer to the person you were always meant to be. Where there was once pain, this love will bring healing. Where there was once brokenness, it brings restoration. It lifts you higher than you ever thought possible, showing you a love that is beyond your imagination. The love that is coming isn't just a reward for all you've endured. Though it certainly feels like one, it's a fulfillment of God's promise to you. This love is a reflection of the strength you've built, the lessons you've learned, and the faith you've held on to through the hardest seasons of your life. It's a love that will inspire you to become the best version of yourself. You were never meant to settle for anything less than extraordinary, and this love is proof of that. It exceeds every expectation you've ever had, and even more than that. It is God's perfect timing unfolding before you, a divine gift that has been reserved for you because you are worthy of it. It will redefine everything you thought you knew about connection, devotion, and partnership. When this love enters your life, it will fill you with a peace and joy that you never thought possible. This love will transform you, lifting you to heights you never dreamed you could reach, and do the same for the one you share it with. You faced mockery for your faith. People have laughed at your belief in a love that transcends the superficial, a love that goes beyond fleeting attraction and temporary connections. They couldn't understand why you still held on to the idea that true love, real love, was out there waiting for you, that something deeper and more meaningful was worth waiting for. But in those moments, when the doubt, laughter, and ridicule felt overwhelming, I want to ask you, who really has the final say in your life? Is it the world's rejection, or is it God's divine approval? Consider Sarah. She laughed at God's promise that she would have a child, not because she didn't want it, but because her circumstances seemed impossible. She was well beyond the years of bearing children, and when she heard God's promise, it seemed too far-fetched, too out of reach. Yet, despite her initial doubts, God fulfilled his promise, and she held that child in her arms. Then there's Noah, who was ridiculed and mocked for building an ark when there wasn't even a hint of a flood. The world thought he was foolish, obsessed with an idea that made no sense. But when the flood came, Noah was the one who saved his family, the one who saw God's plan come to fruition while everyone else was swept away. These are powerful reminders that God's promises don't fail, even when others mock or doubt them. His word always prevails, regardless of what people say or believe. In much the same way, your waiting wasn't a passive experience. It wasn't a period where you simply sat and did nothing. No, it was an act of active faith. You didn't just wait for love, you trusted in God's timing, his plan for your life. Each day you chose to hold on to hope. Despite the silence, despite the doubt, you were actively participating in a divine process. It may have felt like you were alone at times, that God had forgotten you, but in truth, he was working behind the scenes, preparing you for the love he had set aside for you. The world may have called you foolish or questioned your ability to wait for something more, but your patience was never a sign of weakness. Rather, it was a reflection of a deep, unshakable trust in God's wisdom. While the world's wisdom might call you to rush, settle, or compromise, God's wisdom confounds the wise. His ways are higher, his timing perfect. You might have felt impatient at times, questioning why it was taking so long, but remember this: the waiting process was preparing you for something far greater than what you could have envisioned in your own timeline. Every day you held on to your belief. Every moment you resisted the temptation to settle for less than what God promised. You were strengthening your faith. Your patience, your trust, your unwavering belief in what's to come were the weapons that would ultimately silence every doubter. They didn't see the bigger picture, but God did. He knew that the love he was preparing for you required you to be patient, to trust, and to believe, even when it seemed like the world had moved on without you. And now, as the time draws near, all of those who doubted, mocked, or tried to convince you that your faith was misplaced will see the fruit of your perseverance. They will see the power of waiting on God, the beauty of trusting in His timing, and the rewards that come from having faith in something greater than what the world can offer. Your waiting wasn't just about enduring the silence. It was about building the strength and character needed to receive the love that was meant for you. And when that love arrives, it will be a testimony to the world that God's timing is always perfect, and that those who trust in Him will never be disappointed. Your faith, your waiting, and your patience will prove that God's promises always come to pass. They thought they had destroyed you. They believed that your heart was beyond repair, shattered by their words, their actions, and their betrayal. But what they failed to see was that the very ruins they left behind, the pieces they thought they had scattered, were the foundation upon which God was building something magnificent. While they saw only brokenness, God saw the potential for greatness. Your heartache, your loneliness, and your pain were never the end of your story. They were not signs that you had been abandoned or forgotten. Instead, they were sacred moments, the very ground upon which God was working to create something stronger, something far more beautiful than you could have ever imagined. The heartache you felt, the loneliness you endured, and the rejection you faced were not just random moments of suffering. They were the raw materials for a divine transformation. God took every insult, every rejection, and every moment of betrayal and used it to mold you into the unshakable person you are today. Those experiences were not wasted. They were the tools that refined you, built you up, and prepared you for the blessings that were yet to come. What they thought would bury you, what they thought would break you, has now become the very platform from which you will rise. In the moments when you felt defeated, God was doing His greatest work in you. When others walked away, when they rejected you and doubted you, God was refining your spirit, teaching you to trust in Him and in His timing. You were never truly alone, though it may have felt that way. God was with you every step of the way, building you up from the pieces that seemed broken and preparing you for a life of fulfillment, purpose, and divine blessing. Now, as you stand stronger than ever, you can see that what once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle was actually the foundation for something beautiful. The struggles you faced have shaped you into a person who is resilient, compassionate, and ready to step into the fullness of what God has prepared for you. You are not defined by the pain you endured, but by how God has used it to shape you into someone unbreakable. What they saw as the end of your story was only the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with the blessings, love, and purpose that you were always meant to walk in. Your brokenness has turned into a blessing, and now you rise from the ashes, stronger, wiser, and more equipped to embrace the life God has destined for you. This is your moment, and the best is yet to come. Your love story isn't just about you and your partner finding each other. It's about something far greater, a divine connection that will serve as a beacon of light for others. Through your union, the world will witness the undeniable truth that God's promises are real, His timing is flawless, and His love is unstoppable. When your true love finally enters your life, it will not only transform you, but will serve as a powerful testimony to everyone who doubted you. For all the people who questioned your worth, your waiting, and your belief in God's perfect timing, this love will prove them wrong. It will show that the dreams you've held onto weren't foolish. They were divinely inspired, and now they're coming to life. This love will be a clear reflection of God's faithfulness, a testimony that when you trust in His plans, He will never leave you empty-handed. This love will silence every lie that the enemy has whispered in your ear. It will break through the doubts, the fears, and the lies that have held you captive. It will prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that you were always worthy of love, always loved by God, and always destined for something extraordinary. When this divine union unfolds, it will serve as a living testament to God's perfect timing. It's not just about the love you share with your partner, it's about the way that love reflects the power of God's presence in your life. The way this union comes together, the way your hearts align, will serve as proof that when you remain patient, trust in God's process, and stay faithful, the blessings He has for you are far greater than you can imagine. Your love story will be a mirror to others, showing them that they too can trust in God's timing, that their story isn't over, and that their own divine union is on its way. This love is not just for you. It's a message to the world that God is in control. It will inspire others to hold fast to their faith, to trust in the journey, and to know that in God's time, everything will fall into place perfectly. Your divine union will shine brightly, not only in your life, but in the lives of those who have witnessed your waiting and trusted God's plan. This love will be a testament to what happens when two souls, destined by God, come together at the perfect moment. It will remind the world that true love is never by chance. It is always divinely appointed. This love is not just any love. It is the love you deserve, the love that has been ordained for you by God, and it is time for you to embrace it fully. Now is the time to release the past. Let go of the wounds that have held you back, the doubts that have clouded your belief in what's possible, and the fears that have kept you from fully opening your heart. But in order to receive this love, you must first make room for it by freeing yourself from the emotional baggage that has weighed you down. Your heart needs to be open, healed, and ready to embrace the beautiful love that God has prepared for you. You have learned valuable lessons along the way. You've learned what it means to trust in God's timing, to have faith when things don't make sense, and to believe in the love that God has set apart for you. Those trials weren't meant to break you. They were meant to refine you, to teach you the depth of your worth, and to prepare you to step into the fullness of the love you are about to receive. Chosen one, your true love is coming. Trust the process. Trust in the journey that has brought you to this moment. The waiting is over, and now you are stepping into the love you've always deserved. Hold your head high, because the love that God has prepared for you is on its way, and this time it will be different. This love will be everything you've hoped for and more. It is the fulfillment of God's promises in your life, and the world will see it unfold in ways that are beyond your imagination. The love you deserve is coming, and with it comes the beautiful life that God has always had planned for you.
There are no accidents in the realm of the Spirit. If you're watching this message right now, it's not a coincidence. This moment, this exact second, is a divine appointment. Heaven has orchestrated this connection because what's coming into your life is too powerful, too transformational, and too sacred to be missed. You may not fully grasp the weight of what is about to unfold, but make no mistake. He's heard your prayers whispered in the quiet hours of the night. He's watched you endure, grow, and rise. And now is the time when everything begins to shift. This is a divine announcement. The Spirit is stirring, the heavens are aligning, and God's blueprint for your life is moving into motion with unstoppable force. Chosen one, prepare yourself. Something holy is coming your way. Let's begin. Something sacred is stirring in the atmosphere. A divine momentum is building, and as we approach April 4th, we stand at the edge of a spiritual threshold, one that leads directly into the heart of God's master plan. It is a divinely appointed moment, a portal in time where heaven intersects with earth. For those who have been waiting, hoping, praying, your season of delay is ending. A supernatural shift is already in motion. Even now, you may feel a quiet, insistent pull within your soul, an unshakable sense that change is near. That's not a coincidence, and it's certainly not your imagination. That's the breath of God moving over your life. It's the stirring of destiny, the signal that divine alignment is unfolding. You are not meant to miss this moment. Every experience, every closed door, every unanswered prayer has been leading to this. For years, perhaps, you've walked through valleys, faced walls, endured seasons where the heavens seemed silent. But in the unseen, God was working. He was orchestrating every detail with care, preparing the path ahead so that when the time came, your time, it would be unstoppable. Now, as the divine clock strikes this sacred hour, that season has arrived. Doors that once refused to budge are about to swing open with force. Barriers are falling, delays are being dismantled, and what once felt impossible will suddenly become your reality. This isn't a gradual unfolding, it's a breakthrough. Swift, unrelenting, miraculous. You are stepping into a chapter where the things you only dared to dream are now becoming tangible. Prayers once whispered in private are about to be answered in public. The favor of God is moving like a mighty wind, clearing paths, making room, and pouring out blessing after blessing. Not because you earned it, but because you endured. Because in the silence you remained faithful. And now the reward is here. This divine moment isn't only about personal transformation, it's about positioning. God is placing you exactly where you need to be, at exactly the right time. Every connection, every opportunity, every open door has divine fingerprints on it. You're being ushered into a new season where grace accelerates progress and faith manifests fruit. The pace will surprise you, the shift will overwhelm you, and the blessing will confirm everything you once believed by faith. So get ready, chosen one. Heaven is no longer whispering, it's declaring. The countdown has begun and your time is now. Don't doubt, don't delay. Stand in full expectation because what God is about to do in your life is not small, it is monumental. It's not just a blessing, it's a turning point. This is the unfolding of God's master plan, and you are not a bystander. You are at the center of it. Get ready to walk through doors you didn't knock on, to receive answers you didn't chase, to live in promises you once only envisioned. The divine shift is here, and it's bringing with it everything you've been waiting for and more. God is a God of patterns, not of randomness. He moves in divine sequences, unfolding his plans in sacred stages designed to prepare, elevate, and empower his chosen ones. What you are about to walk through is not just a blessing, it's a complete transformation. It will shift the very fabric of your identity and launch you into the life you were always meant to live. This journey unfolds in 5 powerful phases, each one lifting you higher into your divine purpose and unlocking deeper layers of the calling upon your life. The first phase is a sudden and undeniable rise in wealth, power, and influence. This elevation will not be slow or subtle. It will come like a wave crashing onto the shores of your life, fast, overwhelming, and breathtaking. Doors that remained locked for years will swing open effortlessly. Opportunities you only dreamed of will manifest before your eyes. You will find yourself in rooms you never thought you'd enter, seated at tables prepared for you by God himself. God is placing you exactly where you need to be to carry out your mission. The wealth that flows to you is not merely a gift. It is a divine resource meant to fuel your assignment. You are being established as a pillar of light in your community, a voice of hope, a reflection of God's abundance in a world starved for meaning. As the outer world begins to shift, the second phase begins to stir within you. This phase is spiritual awakening. Your senses will heighten. What once seemed ordinary will become radiant with divine meaning. You'll begin to hear what others cannot, feel what others miss, and sense the quiet whisper of the Spirit even in chaos. The veil between heaven and earth will grow thin, and you will begin to see through spiritual eyes. People will be drawn to your peace, unaware that what they're encountering is the presence of God resting upon you. Animals, children, even strangers will sense the sacred atmosphere around you. It is not your imagination, it is the Holy Spirit refining your discernment. You are becoming a vessel of empathy, wisdom, and divine insight, a lighthouse in the storm, a spiritual guide for those still wandering in darkness. The third phase marks a global and spiritual reckoning. As the world continues to shake, you will begin to witness the collapse of systems built on deception. Corrupt institutions, false narratives, and hollow spiritual movements will start to crumble. This is God's divine disruption. But while others are shaken, you will rise. You will emerge as a bearer of truth that liberates, restores, and brings light to what was hidden. People will look to you, not because you sought attention, but because the truth you carry resonates. You are part of a new priesthood, set apart, refined by fire, and chosen to lead in an age of awakening. The fourth phase is divine clarity. At last you will understand. The pain, the detours, the unanswered prayers, they all served a purpose. Everything will click into place. You'll know why you were set apart, why your journey looked different, and why certain doors had to remain closed until now. Your purpose will no longer feel distant or abstract. It will be your daily reality. With the power, resources, and divine insight you now carry, you will build, lead, heal, and restore. You will not just live out your purpose, you will ignite a purpose in others. Your very presence will be transformational. Finally, the fifth and most critical phase arrives: divine leadership in the midst of global upheaval. As the world enters deeper uncertainty, economic tremors, political unrest, environmental crises, the chosen will not cower, they will rise. You will walk in a peace that surpasses all understanding. While the world searches for answers, you will speak with divine clarity. While others cling to fear, you will operate from unwavering faith. You won't lead with force, you will lead with purpose. You won't seek platforms, you'll seek impact. This will not be a collapse, it will be a holy reset. And God has positioned you at the center of it, not by accident, but by design. You are not being sent to survive these days. You are being equipped to shape them, to illuminate, to guide, to carry hope into chaos. The transformation has already begun. You are not who you were, and who you are becoming is exactly who the world needs. Chosen one, step forward. Heaven is watching. All across the earth, something extraordinary is happening. A divine stirring is awakening hearts, calling forth a generation of chosen ones, individuals marked by purpose, purified through trials, and anointed to carry light into the darkest corners of the world. This awakening is not isolated to one nation or people. It is global, spiritual, and unstoppable. From distant villages to crowded cities, from every culture, language, and background, voices are rising, resonating with the same sacred call. You are not alone in your calling. You are part of a divine collective, a spiritual family knit together not by blood or geography, but by destiny. This unity that is forming is unlike anything the world has seen. It transcends borders, race, and tradition. It is the work of the Holy Spirit, building a global army of light bearers, truth carriers, and agents of divine change. In this sacred moment, your light is not meant to shine in isolation. It is meant to connect, to combine, to become part of something far greater than the sum of its parts. As each chosen one steps into their role, a ripple of transformation spreads outward, creating waves of revival and revelation. Together, this rising collective becomes unstoppable. A holy revolution is unfolding, built not on violence or politics, but on truth, justice, love, and spiritual power. It is a movement that cannot be silenced because it is powered by heaven itself. This is the new era of divine leadership, not one of control, but of restoration, not driven by ego, but by mission. The world is crying out for change, and God is answering through you and others like you who are ready to step forward in courage and faith. You are not just witnessing this movement, you are a pioneer within it. Your gifts, your voice, your light, they are essential. As you align with others walking the same divine path, you'll discover strength, clarity, and purpose beyond what you could have known alone. This is your moment to rise, not just as an individual, but as part of a powerful, spirit-led collective destined to shift the course of history. The chosen ones are rising, and together, they will light up the world. Heaven has assigned angels to your cause, and they have been working tirelessly in the background, guiding your steps, shielding your soul, and preparing the path ahead. You see, nothing in your journey has been random. Every closed door was divine protection. Every heartbreak was holy redirection. What looked like a setback was, in truth, a setup being prepared for your comeback. You may not have seen the hand, but you've surely felt the shift. That's the invisible current of grace, the evidence that you are not walking alone. You are being led step by step by a power far greater than your understanding. And though you've had to walk through seasons of mystery and silence, those seasons were never wasted. They were divine classrooms, equipping you for a future that is just now unfolding. Every encounter, every opportunity, every escape from what could have broken you, that was the unseen hand of heaven moving with precision. You are not simply fortunate, you are favored. There is a holy hedge around your life, woven by divine intention, and it's been there all along. What others might interpret as coincidence is actually God's perfect choreography. Now, as you step into your next season, carry this truth with you. You are not moving forward by your own strength. You are being positioned, prepared, and empowered by the one who knows the end from the beginning. The same power that created the stars has commissioned you for purpose. So walk boldly, not because you know all the answers, but because you are guided by the one who does. You are surrounded by unseen support, and you are stepping into a destiny that has already been secured in the heavens. As April 4th draws near, there is a holy alignment taking place. It's as though heaven is placing the final piece of the puzzle, and suddenly, what once felt disjointed now comes together with undeniable clarity. This is not just another season. It is your Kairos moment, your divine window of opportunity. It is the intersection of heaven's purpose and earth's timing, the exact moment when what was promised begins to manifest. You've waited, you've prayed, you've grown in the hidden places. Now the divine signal has been given. The door is opening, the light is shifting, and the timing, God's timing, is declaring that you are ready. This moment requires no striving. You don't need to force it. You only need to flow with it. The same God who brought you through the wilderness is now bringing you into fulfillment. The time you thought was lost was actually sacred preparation. The detours were divine training grounds. Every disappointment was heaven's protection over your destiny. So don't hesitate. Don't run. God's hand is on your life, and his timing is always perfect. When he says it's time, no force in hell or on earth can delay what he has ordained. This is your moment to rise, to move, to step fully into the calling that has been waiting for you all along. And now, all that's left for you to do is step into it with boldness, with faith, and with the certainty that heaven has gone before you. The time is here. Stand tall, step forward, shine bright, because the world needs you. Thank you for watching until the end. If this message stirred something in your spirit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you love. Let this be your confirmation, and God has already equipped you. This is your divine moment. This is your rise. Blessings.